Hey everyone, Karl Bainbridge here, welcoming you back to INC Live. Now we're still dealing with the fallout from UFC 259, so most MMA fans were hoping for a scandal-free week. Instead, we got UFC Fight Night, Edwards vs Muhammad. I've just finished watching the card. With that being said, let's get to the fights. And we're going to start by talking about that main event where Leon Edwards and Belal Muhammad ended in a no contest, Belal unable to continue following an eye poke from Edwards. Now, I have to be honest, I wasn't 100% sold on this fight when it was first booked. I feel like I like Belal and I was happy to see him getting the big match. And I was interested by the whole dynamic of a guy being out of action for a long time, up against somebody with a quick turnaround and looking very good last time out when he fought Diego Lima. But I have to be honest, I wasn't expecting a classic. With that being said though, I don't think anyone was happy with the way this fight turned out, especially Leon Edwards. Now, Leon Edwards has had a rough hand ever since the start of last year. He was going to fight Tyron Woodley, which was going to be Fight Night in London. Of course, that fight fell through. He was briefly linked with replacing Gilbert Burns on Fight Island. There was a whole stuff with Hamzat. He was briefly out of the top 15 because he fell out with the UFC. So when he finally gets this spotlight moment, the fact it ends this way is very unsatisfying. I mean, the guy has had so much bad luck. Now, Leon's still trying to argue he should get the next welterweight title shot, and I have to be honest, I can sort of see where he's coming from. He's still got the unbeaten streak. There was the fact he jumped through the UFC's hoop by taking this fight in the first place. And also the fact as well, there's not that many contenders at welterweight. The only realistic contender is Wonderboy, who is one fight, 2-fight winning streak. So Leon does have a strong claim. But for fairness sake, I feel they need to run this fight back. It's not a good sell for Leon to get a title fight off the back of this. Belal shouldn't have his big moment taken away from him. Now, my hope is the damage to Belal's eye isn't too bad. They can do it on the undercard of UFC 261, something along those lines. If it goes any longer, then it becomes a problem. Because all indications point towards Kamaru Usman coaching on the Ultimate Fighter. He'll be coaching against the guy he's going to be fighting for the belt next. Now, there's a lot of rumours going around. I'm not going to go into the reasons why, but the UFC are sort of shying away from Jorge Masvidal getting the title shot. So if Leon spends too long waiting for the Belal rematch, it's going to obstruct the possibility of him taking on Usman, coaching tough, and then getting that title fight in the summer. In all honesty, welterweight has become a really messy division. We've got a lot of big name fighters, a lot of big egos that go with that, and they're pricing themselves out of big matches. We've seen this with Colby because he's wanting to try and get an Usman rematch. He seems to be a bit hesitant towards fighting Gilbert Burns, which is a fight that makes a lot of sense. And I'm not sure how we resolve it. I think that's a big problem. Welterweight is a very good division, but a combination of Usman being so dominant, a lot of the big personalities, a lot of the big egos in the division, it's really slowing things down. The last thing we needed was a situation like this, where the next realistic title contender can't really claim a title shot because of the way his previous fight finished. I think the most frustrating thing from Leon's perspective too was he looked fairly comfortable in that first round. Now, Belal's a fighter normally known for pressing his opponents, pushing the pace, yet Leon spooked him on the back foot. He rocked him early in the round. He didn't look as ring rusty, as if ring rust was some kind of big factor. Now, I'm not sure Leon would have got finished, but based on what I saw, I could have seen him winning the fight fairly comfortably, and that argument for his title fight would have been greater. To be honest, it still is, but it now has this asterisk that needs resolving first, and I'm not sure how we do that if the plan is him fighting Usman and coaching on the Ultimate Fighter. I think that main event also took the shine off, in my opinion, what was a really good card. I tell you, there was a lot of people who really began overlooking Dan Ige after the Calvin Kattar fight. They were reawakened big time last night. Now, I had a feeling him versus Tucker could have been a fight of the night contender, so for him to blow Gavin away, and Gavin's been on a great bit of form, very talented guy, to do that in the way he did was very impressive. Now, I'm not going to call Danny Ige a title threat or anything like that. But there were people who believed he was a sacrificial lamb for Tucker or for Ryan Hall before him. He's a lot more than that. There's a lot of guys in that sort of lower top 10, in my opinion, who can trip up a lot of top guys on their day. You look at people like Arnold Allen, Sadiq Yusuf, Josh Emmett. Dan Ige fits into that mix absolutely perfectly. I'm really excited to see what else he can provide, because if that fight is any indication, he's going to be a very entertaining fighter to watch. And you add that in with Davy Grant getting a great knockout. Now, I've met Davy before. We've had him as a guest on one of the preview shows. I've actually been to his restaurant. The gnocchi is amazing, by the way. Now he's on a 3-fight winning streak. He's showing a lot more confidence in his striking. And another performance bonus. He's a top lad too, so I'm personally chuffed about this one. I thought Jordan versus Rojo was good end-to-end action. Nasrat looked great. I was very happy to see Manel Kape give a much better performance than he did on his debut. I don't personally agree with the result, but I am happy Nicolau got himself a win because I think he's too good for the regional scene. He's certainly worthy of being in the UFC, but I don't think he won that fight. I thought Manel took that final round. Also as well, Matthew Semmelsberger, first night on the card, great knockout that not many people are talking about, obviously because of what Grant and Dan Ige were doing. All in all, it was a good night. I do want to talk about the Darren Stewart Eryk Anders fight though. Now, I agree with the doctors about stopping the fight, because it was clear Darren had no idea what was going on. But I'm curious why Herb Dean called it a no contest, bearing in mind what happened to Aljo. Because surely if one is considered a DQ, then the other should be. And I don't know if it was because it wasn't up against the fence, or whether it looked more malicious when Petr Yan did it compared to what Eryk Anders did. But considering the treatment Aljo's gotten over the past week for the way he won the belt, the last thing we needed was another incident that's going to attract attention to it. Now, I'm not going to slam Herb Dean about this. The refs have an incredibly tough job to do. But it's another talking point that's not needed. I would love to know how you feel these sort of illegal knees should be handled if the referee has to wave off the fight. I also want your opinions as well on what you thought of the card. Was it better than UFC 259? What sort of things are you looking for? Who are your sort of performers of the night? Who are your MVPs of the show? I would love to hear those. I want you to like, subscribe, tell all your friends about the video. We're still trying some different things on this channel. I would love to try and make this somewhat of an essential part of the INC brand as well. At the moment, this is just me sort of venting, getting off some of my own opinions. I'd love to try and make it a bit more permanent. Any advice that you can give would be greatly appreciated. I'll be back next week for Derek Brunson versus Kevin Holland. Hopefully, things will be much less controversial. This is the INC. Thank you for watching.